Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Thursday. Thank you a ton for being here, for being Up+Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. So this gal, she has shot the gods of rock and roll with her camera. Bob Dylan, Amy Winehouse, Pink Floyd, The Clash, the list is insane. And somehow still found a way to make the Gallagher brothers look good through all their glorious chaos. Jill Furmanovsky is not just a photographer. She's the lens through which we've seen music legends become immortal. And now, for the first time ever, she's opening her full Oasis archive, over 500 images deep, to show what it looked like from the inside of that storm. Can you imagine? Her new book, Oasis, Trying to Find a Way Out of Nowhere, co-authored with Noel Gallagher himself, is more than a visual diary. It's a backstage pass into one of the most combustible and beloved bands in British rock history. We're talking never-before-seen photos, contact sheets, intimate moments, and raw commentary from Noel. Yeah, that Noel. And look, maybe you weren't an Oasis diehard. Maybe you only know Wonderwall from a high school or college party playlist. But this story is bigger than just the band. It's about chaos, creation, ego, art, and one woman who had the access, the eye, and the guts to capture it all. Going to be a great chat. Can't wait to talk to Jill. All right, first saw this. Cat lovers. We're not big cat people here, but, respect. Much respect. California just made declawing cats illegal unless it's medically necessary. Governor Newsom signed AB 867, and that means no more claw removals for convenience or to save your couch. San Luis Obispo's own animal services shelter manager, Eric Anderson, told KSBY that this push has been building for more than a decade, and for good reason. What sounds like a simple fix is actually, I didn't know this, it's actually an amputation of the last digit on every toe. Imagine walking around on that, healing, in pain. Not cool. If a vet says it's medically needed, like a nail bed tumor, an infection, or a serious injury, then yes, it's allowed. Otherwise, we're talking alternatives. Scratching posts, training, or those, these are smart animals. Maybe we could train them? I don't know. Or those little soft paws, nail caps. Bottom line, California just put the cat's well-being first, and the furniture can learn to cope. It's a good look. Come on. Can't be declawing animals. We've been talking about Arttober on the show all month long, and we're going to be featuring in our next interview. Normally, we're talking about Arttober on Thursdays, but because we wanted to get the word out for the opera had asked if we would air the interview earlier in the week, so we talked about them on Monday. So next week, we're going to be doing another Arttober feature. We're going to be talking about the Central Coast Comedy Theater. I had not heard of these folks, and I'm super excited that we're going to give you a chance to get introduced to what they do, because it's really, really cool. But I met with Dane, the director of operations there at the Comedy Theater, and they have an event this weekend, an open house. So even though we're talking to them and going to feature them next week, I still wanted to give him the opportunity to kind of give a little nugget here so we could talk about this open house this weekend. So here's Dane just doing a quick little drop on it, giving you the lowdown, the 411, in case you want to check it out, because it could be a lot of fun. All right, Dane, it is Arttober, and this Sunday you guys are doing an open house, the 19th. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, from 3 to 8, we're just going to be open, and anybody can come in and experience some improv. They can meet all of our players. We're going to have different rotating teachers who are going to be teaching different games and things like that. So if you're around, you want to find out what we're all about, come just check us out.
Yeah, heck, by the way, we have a Central Coast Comedy Theater. Yeah. That's so cool. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I hope more and more people do.
That's what this Arttober is all about, my man.
I love it.
All right, thanks to Dane, and don't forget, we're going to hear from him and all about the Central Coast Comedy Theater next week as we continue our celebration in Arttober. Yeah. All right, before we jump in to the show, I want to thank our friends at the city of San Luis Obispo for Arttober. October in slow, anything but ordinary. Arttober's got live performances, public art, museums, and the always fun piano in the plaza. Creativity is everywhere, all around you. Don't miss it. Find your Arttober adventure at slowcity.org/Arttober. And I'll say, I just went to the Museum of Art, SLOMA, downtown on Friday for their new exhibit. It's freaking awesome. This woman is so talented. The way she paints the colors, and like there's kind of this monochromatic theme to it. But man, when you look at each painting, there is so much going on. And some of it, you're like, damn, girl. Whoa, really? Okay. All right. So it's incredible. I mean, you just walk around. I got to say, it's completely free. The San Luis Obispo Museum of Art. You got to check out the exhibit that's there. It's just gorgeous, just incredible.
It's Up and Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, my guest today, a true legend behind the lens, Jill Furmanovsky. She's photographed the icons, Pink Floyd, Bob Dylan, Blondie, Joy Division, Amy Winehouse, and yeah, Oasis. Her latest book, Oasis, trying to find a way out of nowhere, the stunning collaboration with Noel Gallagher himself, packed with over 500 never-before-seen photos, contact sheets, and raw emotional commentary. This isn't just a coffee table book. It's really a cultural time capsule. And even if Oasis wasn't your band, this is about something much bigger. Creativity, the conflict, ego, intimacy, and that magic that happens when an artist points a camera at something literally on fire. Jill joins me now from London. Jill, thank you so much for being Up and Adam.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. I wish I was actually there. I have been to that part of the world. I once went and photographed Tom Waits in Santa Rosa, so it can't be too far away, is it?
Yeah, but just a few hours. Santa Rosa is a little bit more considered Northern California. We call this the Central Coast. So we're right in the middle of San Francisco and LA. So right in the middle there, about 2.5 hours from each of them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, what a place to be.
Yeah, you like wine? You have a glass of wine here and there?
I wouldn't mind a glass of wine. I'd be happy to have one with you right now.
Yes, well, this is wine country, so we absolutely would love to have you here. Jill, you once described photographing Oasis in the 90s as being on a comet, hanging on for dear life. And I love that metaphor because it's motion, it's heat, it's chaos all at once. When you were in that whirlwind, shooting Oasis at the moment, maybe their most volatile, but also the most brilliant. Was there ever a moment where you just had to stop and be like, oh my God, this is going to really mean something someday? Or did you not even know with everything going on?
No, I think I really did know. And I felt I've got to must keep at it because, and I think also Noel felt that it should be recorded. So he was kind of my boss, if you like. He was the boss of the band as well on the musician side. And I was working, alongside him really. And also the whole organization around them, that actually it was important to document this stuff. And we still didn't know quite why, but we were just like, we must, it needs to happen. It needs to be logged.
Yeah, the relationship between Noel and Liam is practically Shakespearean, love, rivalry, ego, electricity. And then you had a lens in the middle of all this. What did you learn about like that human connection, both the beauty and the brutality of it really, when you were documenting these two?
Yeah, well, I was fascinated by it because I'm photographing families, you see. Underneath it, there's basically two brothers, isn't there? And if I think of the photographers who influenced me, so you've got your Cartier-Bressons and these kind of catching the moment and so on, and these are big influences, but also Richard Avedon and Diane Arbus, people who photographed ordinary people, if there's ever such a thing as an ordinary person, but family relations. And these beautiful brothers, the two of them, beautiful looking guys, yin and yang musically, it was just endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, you said, I think that you think that this might be your best body of work. 50 years of legend, 50 years of legends, right? And it's Oasis that you chose to frame that way. And that really says a lot. What makes this archive feel so personal to you? Maybe the access, the emotion, what you just described, or something deeper that still lives in all those negatives?
Yeah, I think that I felt it was a privilege to be there. I love the music, so that was I got to hear it all the time. And then I spent a lot of time. I had tremendous respect for the work ethic, in particular of Noel, but actually all of them. Even the volatility did produce some hiccups in their and the smoothness of the running of tours and so on. But there was always a feeling that they were both the biggest fans, especially Liam. So Liam was the biggest fan of Oasis there's ever been. There's never been a bigger fan of Oasis than Liam. Can you believe it that sometimes they would play their own music in the dressing room?
No way.
And yeah, and if there was a sound check, or rehearsals, for example, Birmingham NEC just before Nebworth and so on, there was a load of rehearsals, and Liam would be saving his voice, so he often didn't sing. Noel would have to sing his songs, whatever it is, but he would certainly be there. He'd be sitting in the front row. He'd be the only person in the front row, but he wouldn't want to miss it. He'd be sitting and looking at his band and just thinking, great music. It was that kind of that passion that they had for themselves. And then the brothers, the DNA of the brothers, and and Bonehead, for example, the great humorist. Griggs, I mean, he was, there's Oasis Mark One had a particular DNA that came from all these characters. And it was a bit like being in the Beatles, with a Ringo and a George Harrison and there were these characters that made up, what became a unit.
Noel didn't just write the soundtrack of a generation, Jill, but he edited and oversaw this book too. And that's not nothing. I mean, what surprised you most about seeing your work through Noel's eyes, and what he chose to comment on, what he didn't, and what memories he gives weight to?
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly what's the word for it? Articulate, and has a really, really strong and fast way of editing pictures. So, for example, he was the only editor when I did the shoots anyway. Unbelievably, it was just him who did all the editing of the pictures. It wasn't like a band decision. What does the bass player think? Would Liam like this or not? None of that. Noel did all of it. He did all the press interviews. He did all the art direction with Brian Cannon, the designer of their record covers, and he worked with me and the PR people. He was just working all the time. And he was hugely entertaining. I'd volunteer to go on interviews with him anytime because he was such a great interview. As you probably know, you can look up any interviews that he's done. There's lots of them. Mm-hmm. He's fascinating, and he's, and so it is also with the pictures, and he might say, I'd show him a series of pictures, for example, that had some volatility in them. And I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to not like those. And he'd look at them and then he'd go, I just don't like that jacket. I was thinking, you don't mind that you're about to kill each other. That didn't bother you at all. But the jacket. So I'd say to him, okay, let's crop it a bit and I'll darken the jacket or something. And I'm thinking, oh, I can't believe he's going to pass those pictures.
Interesting. That's wild. Wow. I mean, this book is filled with chaos, screaming fans, blurry nights, and really that raw 90s energy that we remember. But your eye always seems to find like that stillness in the storm, right? How do you know when you're shooting, like when to shoot the frenzy and when to shoot the feeling? How did you kind of figure that out for yourself? And in that time, were you partying? Were you getting close? Were you, doing things too? Were you just like, I'm kind of in this whirlwind also?
No, I wasn't. I was in bed having a cup of tea early. No, my role was so different to, I've worked with bands all my life, but I've never tried to join the band. I have to leave that to other people, really. I'm like a member of the crew, but actually a member of the crew will join in the partying, actually.
Right.
I mean, perhaps So no, I'm not a member of the crew from that point of view. I was in a sort of unusual position age-wise. I was like 40 when I started working with them. They were in their 20s, and I was more like a kind of
Auntie in a way.
yeah, kind of an auntie, a kind of a slightly mothery figure. I mean, Noel thought I was a caterer when he first saw me. He thought I did the catering, and when he saw me in the pit with a camera, he thought, "Oh, the caterer's got a camera." And so I must have given that sort of feeling of, in the documentary that's being made on my work, and there is one. He said he thought I was the dinner lady. A dinner lady. A dinner lady is a lady at the school who deals, who hands out the school dinners. And his mother was a dinner lady. And so that was the kind of my role in there, was sort of, somebody somewhere between a member of the crew and some sort of auntie figure that was allowed to be there because she didn't interfere too much. And
yeah, and you made them
Yeah.
feel comfortable. Like they obviously felt comfortable with you. This is a
Yeah.
band that also they did not end with a bang, but really like a backstage implosion. 2009, it's in the book, it's in the air. What did it feel like to document the end of something so massive, knowing it wasn't just a band breaking up, but it was a whole kind of era exhaling?
Yeah, it was. I could sort of feel it coming. Really, I had a sort of intuition that because my longest years when I was photographing all the time was sort of 95, 96, 97, the real key years, and thereafter I used to drop in. Or Noel would ring me and go, "Do you want to come to Abbey Road? We're recording." And I go, "Oh, yes, please," and so on. So in 2007, I photographed Dig Out Your Soul, I think it was. And then I'd done all sorts of other stuff in the studio with them. But around that 2008, 2009 period, when I used to drop in, I sort of felt there was a kind of a tension there. And I thought I'd better just keep going because this is part of the story, and I felt my job was to tell the story, whatever it was. So I couldn't put my finger on what it was particularly, but there was definitely tension, and I think towards the end of the book you can see it in the pictures as well.
Well, you got the Abbey Road Icon Award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and still call this archive your finest work. I think it's incredible. It's been so nice to chat with you. I wish we had more time. Jill, it's been so fun to cross paths with you. Thanks for the chat. Appreciate you being up and at 'em.
Thank you. Give me a glass of wine next time. I'll come and join you.
On me, absolutely. Take care.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Jill Furmanovsky, thank you so much for sharing your time, your eye, and your stories today. Oasis, trying to find a way out of nowhere. A must for anyone who loves rock photography. Links to Jill, the book, in the show notes. Check them out. All right, I get to this part of the week and I go, the week, even though it's Thursday still, it feels like the week's done. Friday is just around the corner. I'm excited to go check out Opalo, their big harvest party. Big weekend. Big anniversary with Lady I Fancy. It's the 8th anniversary of our first date. So we're looking forward to celebrating that. What else is going on? It's fall. Feels like the weather's certainly switching. Like feels like that vibe, that smell, a little different, right? Well, I thank you so much for joining us here, for connecting. Thanks to also Moonshiner Collective for giving us original music on the show called Start Again. To Josh Chiasa Clapper, our friends from Timbre Winery, world-class wine. Taste them in AG in the Village, Timbre. TimbreWinery.com. Love their stuff, that leading locals Pinot Noir. Get on that and find them. Let them know you heard them on Up and Adam, and I thank them for the Timbre Lobro Studios. Thanks to you for rating, reviewing, subscribing wherever you're listening to the show. Sharing it with a friend means a ton. Appreciate you. Tomorrow's Friday. Looking forward to it. Till then, I'm Adam Montiel. Thank you for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start